Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Most brush it off or blame themselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or people make excuses like, I had a long day at work. Sorry, honey. I'm just not feeling it. Guys, with Roman, it is easy to talk about with a real healthcare professional who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Chael. Complete an online visit. Go to getroman.com/Chael today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul just met up for their first face-off. And this basically is somebody announces some piece of real estate location, puts an address out, and if you're a member of the media, you get to show up. Now, what does a member of the media mean? I lived through this in what was known of the dark ages of the UFC, where we existed on the internet. You could pick a fight if you knew the correct address to the underground forum, and you could get enough kids to like it and subscribe. You could be on pay-per-view. That is what drove our sport. So I lived through this, and as much as I'm going to tease it in just a moment, I don't begrudge it. I value it. I really do value it. But as I'm watching the press conference today, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley get a little separation, everybody gets their photo up, and then both fighters have to go and talk to the media. Oh my, Jake Paul's first question, a guy asks him, yeah, you gonna knock him out? You gonna catch him? That's the quote. So while asking a question, he directly insults Jake. He doesn't know enough about the sport or about boxing to know that catching a guy means that you got lucky. He didn't mean to insult Jake. He didn't know the vernacular. He somehow got in, and now he gets to ask a question to one of his favorite YouTube stars. So the reporter literally says to him, are you going to beat him? Are you going to catch him? You going to put him down? Well, I'm going to beat him and I'm going to put him down, but no, I would like it if you didn't report it as a catch. I'd like you to think that my skills set him up and that my power put him down. But now that you've already framed it as a catch, I guess I got to go along with this. So then Jake goes on to say, hey, I predict these things. You know, I said I'd get rid of Nate Robinson in the first round. I said I'd get rid of Ben Askren in the first round. And he talked about some other fight. Said I'd get rid of him in the first round. The guy made it to the second. But, you know, I'm close on these things. And I'll tell you right now, I predict that T. Wood can't go outside of 2. So a reporter comes on the back of that and goes, well, if the other ones only made it 1, how come T. Wood gets to go to 2? And Jake takes the time to answer the question truthfully, which was because he's better. Now, I didn't know that a 5-time champion of the world getting compared to a Nate Robinson and compared to another fight, which I believe was against a rapper, and I can't even recall because there's 2 brothers and I just can't keep them straight. Yeah, he might make it longer because he's better. Did that question really need to be asked? And I remember living through this, and it was one of the hardest things that I did in this sport, because if you don't win over the media, it's very hard to do anything. You're not going to make it far in politics. You're not going to make it far in business. You're going to make it far in the fight game that has a whole bunch of politics as a piece of the business. You've got to appease the media in some way so that they show up and so they ask you questions no matter how bad and dumb. And the 2 that I just told you that Jake got caught, why would Tyron make it longer than Nate Robinson? And are you going to catch him to put him down? Those are the best 2. I found the best 2 questions that he got asked to bring to you guys. He got asked 15 more, and I knew what he was thinking. I knew his blood was boiling. I knew he's looking around going, how did you guys possibly get in here? How? With what level of credential and what .com and what outlet did you possibly even have the organization to get the press release, let alone get in an Uber and get right to be here on time? I had to live through this same stuff. We had a guy, and I'd never say his name because he was such a nice guy. He meant so well. But he would always try to help you out. You would do an interview with him, but then he would want to help you because he liked you. He thought you were a nice guy. So he would change what your answers were so that they looked nicer for the audience. And I finally called. I said, hey, why do you keep doing that? Let me slow down and make sure that you've got these right. Because I keep reading MMA Weekly, which was one of the biggest sites at the time. You had SureDog, then you had Weekly, and of course the Underground oversaw all of them. But it was a major outlet in our sport at a certain time. So why do you keep doing that? You keep changing the quote. He goes, well, the way you said it, people wouldn't have liked it. Just say it the way I said it. Just say it the way I said it. Let me worry about whether they like it or not. And I thought it was only me. So I always took his call. I did every one of these. I thought it was just for me. Even though that was bad what he was doing, I thought his intent was isolated to me. He was looking out for old Chael. Even if I had a different direction, a different vibe, and a different character that I was attempting to build, he thought he was helping me. Joe Riggs finally comes out and goes, I will never interview, and Joe Riggs says the guy's name. He goes, I will never interview with him again because he changes the quotes, and a whole bunch of other guys come over the top of it. Well, now I feel a little bit less special. He was changing my quotes, but I continued to give him quotes because I thought he was just looking out for me. Joe Riggs makes it known first, and then all the floodgates come open. He was doing this with everybody. It was just one of these things that you had to live with. I'm not picking on one guy. That was the industry. I did an interview one time with Loretta Hunt, who is as respected to this day as anyone that's ever done this. Great relationship with Loretta Hunt. I wrote a book and had the help of Loretta. I like Loretta, but she calls me one day. She wants to know some questions, and I answered them. And the entire time that I answered them, I was a 205-pounder at the time. I had a very beautiful record, and I was well on my way at the time. So everything she asked me, I found a way to steer back to Chuck Liddell and why Chuck sucks. I just found a way, no matter what she was asking me. I wasn't in the UFC, but I was a 205-pounder. I was ranked in the top 10, and Chuck was the champion, in case you're wondering where this is coming from. Every single thing she asked me, I masterfully built a bridge between that question and why I should be fighting Chuck Liddell. She ends up stopping the interview. Not only did that interview not see the light of day, she stops it and actually says to me, hey, you know what? I'm sorry I called you. The reason I selected you to do a piece on, and the whole reason I thought you were a nice guy when I met you, I now see you're not. She literally said that to me. So now I got two choices. Do I break kayfabe and go, whoa, no, Loretta, hold on. This is all thought out. I'm not even in the UFC. Chuck's the champion. I'm just trying to attach myself to him. Put this out. It's an interesting piece. I'm the bad guy. Chuck's the good. Just please trust me and go with this. Do I break kayfabe, or do I say go ahead and go about your day and hang up on her? Those are my only two choices. So when she goes back to the rest of the little media and they sit around and have their cheese and crackers, is she going to spread around the table, hey, this Chael guy's a real son of a bitch? Or is she going to go, hey, you know what? That guy's hustling us all, and he is such a character. I have to choose which one I want done for which character I'm trying to build. All she had to do is write the words down the way that I told them. But it was too hot. There was no profanity in my shtick. You guys have never heard me use profanity. Never said a four-letter word once. Been called the greatest SHIT talker in all of sports by Sports Illustrated. I've never come close to swearing aside from just spelling SHIT. Never. I was too hot for the airwaves. I would melt these things. Loretta doesn't write the piece. This other guy ends up getting fired because he was misrepresenting everybody's piece, but this is the way it was. So when I finally had a reporter that understood there could be a back and forth, that understood this could actually tell a story, that understood if we have some kind of heat with each other, not only do we have today's interview, we can come back next week and do this again. We can then come back a week after that. You, Chael, can be what's known as a reoccurring character on a show that I'm paid for and one I'm not going to pay you to be on. But it took enough time of me getting hung up on, of answering the stupid, are you going to catch him type questions, of hearing their opinion of who the top 10 fighters in the world were, which was never once right. It was whoever, top 10 fighter of the world goes in this order. It's the same as music. Do you know how music is broken down? Do you know what the number one song in the country is? The number one song in the country is whatever song that week was played the most. They get all the DJs and they get all the radio stations together and they turn in their numbers, and whatever song was played the most is the best song in the country, followed by the second best song in the country, which, in case you're not following along, is determined by what song nationwide is played the second most. But that's also what the top 10 fighter list is. Whoever got the most headlines is ranked number one. Whoever got the second most headlines is ranked number two. Once all the guys retire and go away, whoever continues to get the most headlines is the greatest of all time. Whoever gets the second most attention in retirement becomes the second of all time. That's the way it works. It's not right. It's not the way it should work. But there is no media member with the balls to stand up and fix it. I was there at the press conference. This was a hard and fast. George St. Pierre was ranked number one in the world, pound for pound. Anderson Silva was ranked number 4. Dana White came to a press conference and said Anderson Silva is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. And every media member, guess who they put as number one pound for pound fighter in the world? Without George losing and without Anderson winning anymore, they flipped it. Anderson went to 1 and George went to 2. Anderson went from 4 to 1. George went from 1 to 2 without losing. That has never happened to any pound for pound fighter in the world, that he has been surpassed without a loss, or that somebody else surpassed him without a win. But I was there and I watched Dana tell the media Anderson Silva's number one. He became number one. These are helpful lessons. This is not Chael against the media. This is helpful that you guys understand what you're up against. You are going to have to come in with an open mind. You're going to have a good spirit. You're going to have to do what Jake Paul did, was answer a ton of really stupid questions from a number of guys who never should have been there and have no voice. Hope to God that a Chael Sonnen of the world sees it, comes, recoups it all, and regurgitates it to the world. If you get a Chael to come and speak to his audience on the torture that you had to go through, known as a press conference for T-Wood, you win. You win. If Chael doesn't grab it, Chael doesn't suffer through the, are you going to catch him? How come he gets to go 2 rounds when Nate only was predicted for 1? If you can't suffer through it and you storm out of the room, and many fighters do, you're not going to have the Chaels of the world coming and bringing it to the audience. So this isn't for the media. You guys stunk up the room. You absolutely stunk up the room. There's a reason the Stephen A's and the Jim Romes of the world weren't there, okay? Because that thing was a joke. Jake Paul, you did your part. You stood in there. You handled these doofuses. Now I'm doing you a favor. You're welcome.